welcome back to my channel. My name is Michala, and in today's video I'm going to update my gaming journal with some new games that I got on the Steam summer sale. I'm going to go over which games I got, what games I would recommend that I've played before, as well as some games that I wanted but I didn't get, and I'll show you some of my new spreads I've made off camera for Coral Island. So if that sounds good, I'm going to light this candle and we'll get started. With that lit, I can open up. This is a Leuchtturm B6 size journal, if you're wondering, and it has this little symbol because it's like this weatherproof kind of journal. I can leave it below if you're at all interested, but let me move some stuff. This is my cover page I made for the journal. I left a spread blank because this is my first gaming journal I've ever kept, so I'm trying to, you know, keep some spreads empty in case I want to add things later, because I think I will want to keep this for a while. I might fill it up quickly, but I do think I want to refer to a gaming journal more so than I would my reading journal, for example. My reading journal, I flip through those for sure to look at my book reviews, but this I plan to use some of my farming sim spreads especially, or like my Pokopia spreads with my dailies. I use those while I play the games, so I kind of take this with me to like the couch or to my bed where I'm playing games. And so I want to leave some space to add stuff later, especially because a lot of games I'm playing are getting updates to them. So if you saw my last video in my gaming journal, I did my Pokopia spreads. And then if you saw the latest Nintendo Direct, you would have seen that Pokopia has an update coming out, I think in August, if I'm remembering correctly. So I left an extra spread or two near where the rest of my Pokopia spreads are so that I can add new stuff later. But I might over time just have to insert random spreads less chronologically. We'll see. But this is my monthly favorites, as you can see, and I have my Steam Deck over here that I'm actually going to move because it's on top of my monthly favorites. I have a skin on my Steam Deck that for the first several months I had it was pretty smoothly on there. It's come up a little bit on the corners, but anyway, I have my Steam Deck because a lot of games I'm talking about today are on Steam. But before we get to that, my favorite for April, super boring because it's the same as March, but was Pokopia. I literally just didn't really play other games. I was reading a lot, and then when I would play games, I played Pokopia. So still loving that game. For May, I also played Pokopia a lot, but I decided to pick for my favorite game, Cozy Caravan. I didn't want to put Pokopia 3 months in a row, and I did start playing Cozy Caravan a lot more in May. I played this a good bit when I first got it at the end of last year, and then I returned to it in May, and it's a really great cozy game for playing while you listen to audiobooks, if you're into that. It is kind of like a fetch quest game, I will say. You pretty much drive around a really cute caravan that is pulled by a giant fluffy bumblebee, and you go from town to town, and people give you little quests to like deliver things or to go talk to somebody at a different town. And so you just drive around between town to town, and there's cute music. The villagers that you might have picked up in your caravan will talk to you. You collect resources at different towns, and you can cook with them and upgrade your caravan so that you can cook or make more things. And then every weekend or every like Saturday in the game, you can have a market where villagers will come up and want to buy things, and you can get different stalls and put different items out to sell to them and things like that. It's a super fun, cute game that is actually, like the name says, cozy. It's really peaceful. I feel like I never feel stressed to do something in time. I feel like I can actually look around, explore things, because at the end of the day, you have to set camp for the night, but there are no like repercussions if you didn't do something, if that makes sense. Like you can just keep going. You have, even if you missed a weekend market, you can just wait until the next weekend. It's very relaxing. Whereas I tend to make any other game an efficiency game somehow. Like Stardew Valley, I started making it like, how can I finish the community center within the first year? How can I get my farm automated and get sprinklers and auto pickers? And like, I don't know, I'm that type of player when it comes to certain games. So I really like that in Cozy Caravan, you pretty much have to just calm down and chill and enjoy it. So I'm not always in the mood for that, but when I am, it's very relaxing. And I think it's one of the games I have that is truly in every way cozy. Let's erase these. And then my spot for June has some of the patterned paper, but I'll just put my image over top. And I have not chosen my game yet because June is not over, but I did make Coral Island spreads. So if that tells you anything, I think I will be picking Coral Island for my June favorite. This is my In My Library spread where I'm going to put games that I've obtained since the time of making this journal. So again, I might not just keep a year's worth in this journal. I might do more than that. I don't really know. Since again, this is the first gaming journal I've ever kept, I don't know how quickly I move through games, honestly. It kind of varies. I, for the longest time, only used to really play Nintendo-specific games growing up because I would play games on my brother's Xboxes and whatever, but those consoles were never mine. So I became a really big Nintendo lover. I would get one game and play through it, and that's the style of gamer I was. And then now that I am adult and I have adult money and I can buy other games and I know about a lot more indie games that are really cozy, I tend to have more games, and part of me loves that. But because of that, I'm not really sure how many games I go through in a year, if that makes sense. Sometimes I get shorter puzzle games and I beat them right away. Sometimes I invest in a larger game, you know, a longer like story-driven game, and I play it for like hours upon hours. So we'll see how long the spread lasts me. But I do want to update this because I got 4 new games on the Steam Summer Sale that I wanted to go over with you. And I saved room on this little flap to add more shelves, and I'll probably do that here soon. But this is my wish list behind my In the Library spread, where I have my little pictures of the games I want, because I thought this way I can keep them all in this envelope and take them out and put them on my shelf when I get them. But I was really silly, and these are really big. So I'm going to keep these little thumbnails of the games because I can use them on my favorites spread. These are the size I use on my favorite spread, but I realized they're kind of big for on here. And also, what was I thinking with this top shelf? Like, where am I going to put something? So that's my bad. I don't know what I was thinking, but learn from my mistakes if you can. And let me show you the games I did get. So I have the smaller versions of the games that I did get on the Steam Summer Sale, and I'll go over these first. But the first game I got is called Naiad. I think that's how you say it. And it's this really beautiful game that I have had my eye on since it came out, where you essentially float down a stream, but you come across different puzzles and different things to solve. And it has, I've heard beautiful music, the visuals are stunning, and it looks really peaceful. And I'm hoping that this is one of those shorter games that I'll sit down and I'll finish, because I like when I have a game that I can finish in a little bit of a shorter amount of time, because I try to balance longer games with a shorter indie game. Like this is a great example, because like I said, Pokopia, I have had like hundreds of hours in, but not every game needs to be that long for me to enjoy it. In fact, I tend to enjoy games longer if I pepper in some shorter games that are really beautiful and more experiential. And a lot of times puzzle games, especially indie games with beautiful graphics and great soundtracks, make for really wonderful experiences that you can do in like 20 hours total. And realistically, if you just played a couple hours or an hour every night, you could, do that in a month. So I got Naiad, and this was on sale. I'll pop up the price it was on the screen. Then I also got Hosey, which is a cleaning and like decorating game. It's the words house and cozy put together, I believe, and you clean and decorate. And I've seen trailers for this and it looked really satisfying. And again, a shorter game where you just clean up an old house and renovate it and decorate. So I think it's mostly cleaning and decorating, but I love both those things, and this seemed to be a really satisfying one. So I got this game. Then I got Bloomtown, A Different Story, because it looks really nostalgic to me. It reminds me of games I played when I was younger. It reminds me a bit of a Pokemon game, but with kind of like a darker twist. You play it as a young kid, and you're in a small town visiting your grandparents, I think. I remember I used to watch a lot of gameplay of it, and now I can't quite remember. I've had this on my list for a really long time, and it was on sale again, so I finally got it because I want to play this in fall, because you collect monsters, kind of like Pokemon, but they're actually like ghosts or spirits, I think, and so they're a little bit scarier than, you know, cute Pokemon, but it looks like it has a really fun storyline. It kind of reminds me a little bit of like Stranger Things, and that just sounded really fun and nostalgic for fall, so I got that game. And then I finally got the Disney Dreamlight Valley Wishblossom Ranch DLC, because this was also on sale, and I had wanted it since Christmas. Actually, my husband told me I could get it as like a Christmas present. And when I say told me, I could get it. Just so you know, I can get whatever I want, obviously. But, you know, he was like, hey, you can get that. You know, it's Christmas if you want to play that. But I had gotten some other games around that time, like Winter's Burrow, for example. So I ended up just holding off, especially because it was full price, because it came out around the holidays last year. And since it was on sale, I thought it was the perfect time to get it. And I think it's the one DLC I don't have. I think they're already moving on to another one. I'm pretty sure there's that Winnie the Pooh one, actually, now that I say that. And I can't remember if that's a free update or a paid update. That's kind of how behind I am. But I do have months at a time where I am just obsessed with Disney Dreamlight Valley. And so I did want to finally get this DLC while it's on sale. Even if I don't play it right now, I might play it more fall and Christmas time. I love Disney Dreamlight Valley around that time for some reason. So I was happy to finally snag the DLC on sale. And this is the most games I've ever bought at once, just so you know. I don't always buy this many games, but they were all on sale, like I said. And of all the games on my list, this is what I chose. So let's glue them in, and I'll tell you about the games that were on sale that I love, but I already own them. And then I'll talk to you about games that are on my wish list, but I didn't get, simply because I cannot afford to get every single game. And of course, I don't have time to play them all. So these are the ones I chose. I don't know what I'm going to do with that top shelf. Maybe I'll just put little decorations on top. Maybe that's what I was thinking all along. Who knows? Now the question is, should I try to fit 4 games per shelf? Or I guess since I got 4 games in one go, let's put them all on one shelf to hopefully save room for if I get more. Those are the games I got. Juice Break. This is actually a cranberry pineapple juice that I got thinking I would mix it with maybe like a LaCroix or something kind of fizzy, because I don't actually prefer fizzy drinks, but I do like to randomly mix beverages. I don't know, I'm kind of weird, I guess. So if it makes my LaCroix a little bit less fizzy, I like that. But anyway, this is just the straight cranberry pineapple juice because I don't have anything to mix it with yet. But it's good. And now I'll recommend you games that are on the Steam sale, but I already own them. These games I'm about to recommend, I actually own them all on my Switch. I got them on my Switch 1, and they have since transferred to my Switch 2. But if you don't have a Switch, I would definitely get these games on Steam, and they're all on sale, like I said. So the first game is Hello Kitty Island Adventure. This is currently 40% off for $23.99. And this game, while I don't really think it is worth full price, I would definitely grab it when it's on sale. I enjoyed this game on Apple Arcade, and since then they've added a lot of updates. It's a really cute game where you play with the Hello Kitty characters, and it's similar to Animal Crossing, where you interact with the villagers in a similar way, but you get to explore this beautiful island, collect resources, and craft different things to complete quests for your friends. And the next game I would recommend is Dave the Diver, which is 50% off at $9.99. This is a game I bought for full price at $20, and I have spent many hours on this game. I'll pop it up on the screen. When this game first came out, I played it every night. I loved it so much. It is a restaurant management game by night, and by day, you dive and collect fish to serve at your restaurant. So it does have a little tiny bit of gore because the fish can bleed, and there are weapons in the game. So I just wanted to point that out if you don't like that, since I am most of the time a cozy gamer. I like to point that out. And honestly, it's a little bit scary. I have a fear of deep water, and playing this game and swimming down and finding huge sharks actually scared me, but it was in a way that was fun and exciting for me, and I really enjoyed this game. So when this game's on sale, it's definitely a game I would recommend. I got my $20 worth, so now that it's 10, I would highly recommend if you like this type of game. The next game I recommend is Disney Dreamlight Valley, which is 30% off for $27.99. Disney Dreamlight Valley is a little bit of a love-hate thing, but mostly love. I just don't like how many things there are to buy and how much this game takes my money with all of the paid DLCs and all of the beautiful furniture in the game. I have spent a lot of money on this game, and I have it on my Switch, like I said, but I would recommend if you don't have it yet to get it on Steam. I think the graphics look better, but it does look better on the Switch too than my Switch. Regardless, this game is really fun. It obviously has a lot of Disney characters that you know and love, as well as some bothersome ones. Looking at you, Donald Duck. But you farm, do quests for villagers, collect a lot of resources, and have a lot of biomes that you can explore. And one of my favorite things about this game is the decoration and all of the furniture sets you get. So there are furniture sets for every Disney franchise out there almost. And, you know, I love the different furniture items from Tangled, for example. And the updates they keep doing on this game keep it alive. They add quality of life updates that make things easier. They have made it so you can rotate the furniture and trees to like any direction you want it to be, not just left, right, front, back, but like all of the 45-degree angles kind of thing. And I do love specifically decorating with all of the nature elements that are in the game. So all trees, bushes, and rocks and things like that, you have infinite supply of. And I love to create a beautiful, like, sprawling landscape in this game. It's actually really fun. And there are ways you can unlock either with money or with moonstones water elements like rivers and streams and things like that. And I have not paid for those yet, but I'm really tempted to because those look really beautiful and fun as well. But yeah, I have this many hours in the game. I'll pop it up on the screen. I'm sure it's a lot. And then the next game I want to recommend is one of my favorites of all time, and it is Moonstone Island. I feel like this is a very underrated game. I don't hear many people talking about it at all. And it is 75% off for $4.99. So I definitely think this is worth it. I have this many hours in Moonstone Island, and I regularly want to go back to it because they've updated a lot since I played. It's even better than when I played, so I think about starting a new file sometimes, and I might do that. But this game is a creature collection open world life simulator where you play as an aspiring alchemist exploring a procedurally generated sky. So every time you play, the map is generated in a different way. You tame wild spirits, farm crops, brew potions, build a home, and engage in card-based combat as you explore the world. The temples in this game reminded me a bit of old school Zelda temples, and then the creature collection reminded me of Pokemon, so this was like two of my favorite games combined. But in all honesty, I have gotten tired of turn-based battle in the style of Pokemon games, especially the original ones. I've just played so many of them that I don't know that I really enjoy picking my Pokemon's strongest move time and time again and winning in that way anymore. So what I love about Moonstone Island is that it is still turn-based battle, but you have a deck of cards where your cards are related to the spirits on your team, and each card does something different. So each battle felt a lot more new and fresh than it did in Pokemon, and the way you change up your team or your party of spirits would affect the cards you have in your deck. And it was just really fun, and I felt a lot more strategic without hurting my brain, if that makes sense. It was pretty simple. It was just a really great experience, and I love this game, so I would definitely recommend grabbing it while it's on sale. And then last but not least, I'm going to just quickly go over games that are on sale that I am very much interested in, but I am not made of money, so I'm not buying them. But if you want them, you might want to snag them. So these games I've not played, but the first I have is Camper Van Make It Home. So Make It Home refers to, I believe, you're going on a trip in a camper van, trying to make your way home while also making the camper van feel like home. So you decorate the camper van and make it your own, and it just looks really cute and cozy. Let's put this in my wish list envelope. Then I have Discounty, which I've spoken about before, but I printed a new correct size cover of it. This game, you manage a convenience store, and this game looks fun to me because there's like an efficiency aspect to it, which I just enjoy. But then there's also like something weird or mysterious going on in the town you're in, and that really appealed to me. The storyline looks really good. Oh, and let me say, Camper Van Make It Home is currently 60% off for $5.39. And Discounty is currently on sale 33% off for $12.05. Next, we have Paralives. This game looks really fun. It's in early access, and people are saying it's like the next Sims game. I have not played the most recent Sims games, but I did like a lot of the more simple Sims games that were on like Game Boy or my DS when I was younger. And I do think I would like The Sims. I just never really got that into it. So I'm looking at Paralives being kind of like filling that gap in my gaming life. And it looks really fun. There's a lot of great character customization and decoration like I like. And because it's early access, I'm kind of holding off to get it. It's a little bit more expensive, but currently I think 20% off. I didn't write this one down, but I'll pop it on the screen. Let me know if you're playing any of these and if you enjoy them. I would love to know. Next, we have Lost and Found Co. This game is 20% off for $14.39, and it is a search and find game. I've never played a search and find game other than this like mobile app I had one time, but this game looks really beautiful, and I've heard people say it's really fun. So this I definitely want as a simpler, maybe fewer hours, but a lot of fun and really beautiful artwork kind of game. In a similar vein is the game Is This Seat Taken?, which is a game where you have to seat everyone in the correct spot in a puzzle-like manner, because some people want to be next to the window but not next to the door, that kind of thing. So you move the characters around and kind of sort out the puzzle. Again, it looks a little bit like a shorter game, but really fun, cute art style, and it is 30% off for $6.99. Honorable mentions go to Unpacking, which I saw was on sale for 60% off, making it $7.99. I've heard great things about that game. It's also like a puzzle organizing peaceful game. And then in a way different genre is Baldur's Gate 3, which is 25% off for $44.99. That game is like a big sprawling adventure game. Because it's a Dungeons and Dragons game, it does have combat and more adult and like serious things in it. But that game looks fun to me, so I thought I would just throw it out there in case you're wanting it, that it's 25% off. And with that, my little library is filling up and I think looks really cute. Next, I want to make a cover spread. As you can see, I've already printed out everything, and honestly, it's almost in here. But I wanted to make a cover spread for my Pokopia pages. So let's just glue these down real quick, and then I'll update you on my Pokopia spreads and then show you my Coral Island spreads. I made a cover spread for my Coral Island page, and I decided I wanted to do that for each of my games that I'm doing like functional spreads for. I think some games I will just do like a memory spread just to kind of signify that I played the game and enjoyed it. But for games that have a lot going on like Pokopia, Coral Island, and eventually Fields of Mystria, I'm making spreads that I can use to track things, keep up with information, and things like that. So I'm glad I left a blank spread here so I could do my cover spread. And I just used a picture of the sky that is a picture I took on my phone. It's actually the same one I used in my May Favorites spread, if you saw that. I then just printed out the logo and then this ditto that I drew on my iPad. I had used the sticker in a smaller way, but I figured since I made it, why not print it bigger? And I gave him a little coffee cup because I can. Also, life update, I officially own a coffee company, which feels really crazy to say. We have not started serving coffee, and we're going to start as a cart, but that's like a fun like life update. So I just like to, you know, throw some coffee stuff in there sometimes. And then things I've updated in here since I last showed it are for my dailies. You guys recommended I add feed Mosslax, so I've added that. And one more thing I added was check the vending machines so I can collect all of like the water and like lava and those drinks you get from the vending machines. I'd rather collect them regularly than like spend all of my points or money or whatever you call it on buying those. So I added check vending machines daily. On request, I have make a campfire for Professor Tangrowth because I still haven't done that actually. I've been building so much, but I should do that because I don't know if anything happens after you do that, but maybe there's more story afterwards. I last logged that when I showed this journal that I had played 93 hours and I'm up to 181 hours. I'm trying to just log every month or so around a similar date. And yeah, I have a lot of hours so far. And then I figured I might not need all this area to keep track of hours. So if I don't, I'll just do like, I'll put a header up here and write hours played. And then I'll put another like blue line maybe and track something else in the lower area or on the back side. I'm not sure. If you're tracking anything else like stats in the game, let me know. Maybe I'll add something here. And then I want to write about the game. I've written in a little journal I keep with me that's just smaller, a couple things that I want to like transcribe over here. And then, but I'll probably just do that off camera. And then I have all of my inspo builds that I've been looking at while I build. I really like having this spread a lot. And then I do have some more pictures I want to add to my builds, but I'm trying to be really choosy with them and kind of wait until I completely finish the build to include it. So something I'm working on is like a cloud island in the sky for the new Jirachi update. I had been thinking about making a cloud build with like the fluffy wool blocks, and the Jirachi furniture just seemed to fit that stuff really well with all of like the stars and everything. So I started building a cloud area up in the sky in the Pallet Town biome, and I've been really enjoying that. So eventually I'll add a picture of that in here. And then I have my favorite Pokemon, which I might add Jirachi to this too later because I do love Jirachi. It's one of my favorites. And then here's one more blank spread I left in case I want to do another spread for Pokopia after the update. It looks like we'll get several updates, so I might need more space. And honestly, I've thought about doing my gaming journal in a ring binder so that I can just add more pages. But I've already committed to this one for now, so I'd like to at least fill this one up as best I can. So I've got a couple blank spreads there. And then I've got my Coral Island pages I started. This game just had their, I think it's called Ocean and Kisses. Is it called that? What's it called? Their latest update. I've been playing this in June, so only a couple times, but I've been getting back into it and loving it. I had played the first year in the game last year, and I've been loving getting back into it. There's still so much to do. I made this map spread that I really love. I had these bubble and coral stickers that I feel like worked perfectly. I don't know what else I would ever use them on except for my reading journal maybe, so I was really glad I used them in here. And I built this little map with all of the waypoints you can travel to over here, and then just a visual of the map so I don't always have to pull it up. I just like having this. It's really pretty and I like the look of it as well. And I feel like you could do this for any farming sim. So I'll probably do something similar when I do my Fields of Mystria spreads. If you're interested in seeing me make those, let me know. Or if you'd rather me flip through when I'm done, also let me know, because it does take a lot of memory if I were to film these, because sometimes I take a lot of time making these. But then I have what I just titled seasonal for now, and I kind of went with fall stickers because that's just what I had. And instead of forcing every video game to match my aesthetic, I'm trying, my candle keeps blowing out. Sorry, I just noticed that. I'll light it again in a second. But instead of trying to make every video game match my aesthetic, I'm kind of just going with what I find. So for example, all of these trackers are from a PDF that was on Reddit that I will link below. And I printed them off a size that I thought would fit my journal. Again, my journal's a B6 size. And then some things fold out like down here. And a lot of these are just like trackers, like I said. Some things are kind of like spoilers for the game that I totally understand if you wouldn't be interested to put in your gaming journal. But sometimes I like to have just like reminders of what gifts people like in games like this, because like I said, I only get so much time to play. So when I sit down and play, I really just want to, I don't know, like just have fun and do the most. And some things I like to figure out on my own. And some things, like after the first year in a farming sim, sometimes I'm ready to kind of just sometimes like stop figuring out what gifts people like and just have a list of it. Let me know how you go about stuff like that. I know some people think that's cheating, and I don't blame them, but that's just how I have fun in games like this. So some things that are on here are, this is the Harvest Festival point guide, and then this is like Springfish, and it also just outlines things to do your first year especially. And since I've already done my first year, I just wanted to include that in case I ever start a new file, or just because I have not really donated, or I've not caught that many fish. So I included the spring, summer, fall, and winter trackers for fish. And then, like I said, at the top of each area, it tells you just some like gifts you should give with the crops that season, what you should donate that season, what you should try to stock up on, stuff like that. Over here are like ultimate gifts that everyone likes with a caveat of who doesn't like them. And I think this is just really helpful. Down here are things you can scavenge in the ocean and crops to save. So I thought that was handy. And then I have gifts and best crops. So this area with the pink, with like a lot of the pink, yellow, and blue are favorite gifts. The gifts that each person loves are in image form, and then what they like is just typed out as text. And yellow are for giants, pink is for romance options, and blue is for mer people. So yeah, this is really helpful. And then I have most valuable crops to sell each season over here, and I just folded it if it got a little long. And you can see some pages I didn't decorate. I'm just using them for functionality. And then this spread has stamina fruit locations and wellness fruit locations, which that's kind of like cheating. So I may or may not look at that, but I just honestly wanted to include whatever I thought would be useful. So I put that in there, but don't look at it if you don't want to know that. Then I have recommended enchantments for your pickaxe and axe and scythe, and where to find different coffers, the different like types of coffers and what depths to find them in. These are cheat sheets for festivals over here. And then I just included a couple images that were also on the same spreadsheet. And then last I have this like romanceable options page. There are new romanceable characters that I don't know if I will be like interested in. Obviously it's just a video game. I don't really know like who I want to marry. But right now I'm gifting Waku the most things and like leveling up my hearts with him. The new update allows the NPCs to come up and ask you to hang out, which I think is really cute. I've only played a couple times since that update, and already several people asked me to hang out, which I thought was really just like a fun element to the game. This game is one of those farming sims that really feels full of life. I feel like Stardew Valley did such a great job with Concerned Ape just updating it regularly, adding quality of life improvements, and just putting a lot of love into it that other farming sims have not really been able to compare to that. I grew up loving Harvest Moon games, but even those have kind of fallen off for me. But I've been really loving Coral Island as well as Fields of Mystria, so I plan to do very similar spreads for Fields of Mystria best I can. I put on this spread Surya, and I think I'm saying their names right. I just read them in my head when I play, so this is like the first time I'm saying them out loud. Pablo and Theo. I really think I like Waku the best, but I don't know. I haven't married anyone yet, so I think we're officially dating. I did that before I took like a break from the game, and now that I'm back playing it, I've been gifting just pretty much everybody just to level up my hearts and see different cutscenes. I do love that this game has a bunch of cutscenes in it as well. Again, it feels very active. There's a lot of NPCs. I don't like farming sims that have very few people. It starts to feel kind of lonely to me, which might be silly, but I have space holders for Fields of Mystria. I'll probably leave a couple blank pages for more Coral Island stuff and then do Fields of Mystria. Again, I don't think I will do this many spreads for each game, like I said, but I have been loving these ones for my farming sims, and Pokopia feels like farming sim adjacent. You build in it and stuff. And I do think Disney Dreamlight Valley would be a fun game to put all the quests I'm behind on a spread or something like that. And then for Tiny Bookshop, I've been thinking I just want to do like a art appreciation spread for Tiny Bookshop, just because I love that game and the art style, and maybe just like have an excuse to put like book stickers and stuff on a spread. Could be really fun. I have this book that was in my traveler's notebook where I put a lot of Fields of Mystria things, and I don't really use this anymore, but I was thinking it's kind of wasteful to have my stuff in here, so I was going to cut it out just to repurpose it and save myself the printer ink, but I realized everything would be double-sided, so I couldn't use both sides of the pages anyway. So, and I think they'll just rip if I try to rip them off. And the game has had a lot of updates since I made this, so not everything is like accurate anymore, or at least is missing a lot of items. So I think I might just print new things and recreate something like this in my gaming journal. Definitely let me know if you would like me to just flip through those spreads or if you'd like to see me make them. Again, I'm open to either one. I just will have to find the time to film while making them if that's what you'd like to see. I don't mind doing that at all. And then Fields of Mystria is pretty similar to Stardew Valley if you've never played it. So I think like a lot of those spreads could also be applicable for Stardew Valley spreads. And I do love Stardew Valley. It's like a comfort game where I've gone back and played the first year several times, but I've never really like unlocked Ginger Island and all of that. So sometimes I also want to just jump back into that game. But that's pretty much all I have for now. Comment and let me know what games you've been loving. If you want to see me make spreads or if you just like this kind of flip through kind of video, I would love to know. And I think soon I'll decorate the cover or something if I find nice stickers. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys.